hello then, and let's get right into this week's preview show / podcast. Introducing our panel this week. It's just me and Rich Steele. Hello, Rich.
Hi, Natalie. All right. Hello, viewers.
Viewers and listeners. We're back with a podcast.
Viewers and listeners. More listeners, yeah.
Let's not exclude our poor listeners, young Rich. Yeah, they're just you and me this week. Obviously, for those of you who haven't yet caught up with episode 1 of our summer preview, then stop this viewing right now and go back to YouTube, go back to your podcast provider and listen to last week's show. I was joined with Rich again and with Tom as we sort of did a bit of a debrief of last season's relegation, the new manager's appointment, where we think we need to be over the next 6 to 12 months, and obviously as we build up to the new season. So that might be a pretty good starting point to your summer listening, because we do cover quite a lot of points there. Rich, I'm going to start with you though. Burnley started their actual competitive campaign at the weekend with a home tie against Notts County in the first round of the EFL, the League Cup. It's been a very long time since we were in the first round of that cup, and it felt very strange to be playing that so early on in the season. But the competitive game is good. It got a really good chance to get 90 minutes plus penalties under the belt for a lot of our players, some of whom may still not be here by the end of the window, but we'll see where we get to. And as tends to be the case with us in cup competitions, we huffed and puffed a little bit against lower league opposition. What was your thoughts of that game, generally speaking? How did you find it?
Yeah, I think the first 20, 25 minutes, you could kind of see what Hayen, I always get mixed up with his name, is trying to do. You know, I thought there was good intensity off the ball. You know, listen, we won the ball back pretty well early on, and we knocked the ball about pretty well, which you'd expect against Notts. You know, the sidelights not Notts County, no disrespect, but then kind of as the game gone on, we kind of got into old habits of, being too slow in the final third, not getting the ball into the box, overplaying, and then looking a little bit sloppy at the back again, looking quite vulnerable from set pieces. He's done well, hasn't he, that set piece course to get a game at Villa.
What is it about coaching staff at Turf Moor that have truly horrendous times and underperform with us and get world-class jobs elsewhere?
Interesting, isn't it? But he was also Norway's set piece coach in the World Cup, so maybe his defence is that we've just got very bad players. But anyway, that's a side issue. Yeah, so you can. And then, we come out second half, score a nice goal and get on the front foot again. And then from there, we're kind of go back into old habits of being a bit risk averse and not really be willing to, to try and take the game on to win it. And I think Hayen's kind of saying, I want more from the players. I want more intensity. I want more risk taking. I don't want us to play kind of short little triangles or trying to work the perfect goal in. But I don't think he's got the players to do it. And obviously, we're going to cover transfers shortly. But
do we also have sorry, listeners, we've got a slight delay with our internet, so apologies if it gets a little bit jarring, but we need to have a bit of a conversation here. One of the points I saw on Twitter, just want to pick up on that point straight away because I think it's a really important one. A lot of people were saying that there was still a bit of a troubled mindset among the players that we have got that are still in that very sort of depressed and losing mentality. Do you think Hayen's got a bit of a problem with that with his squad as well?
Yeah, I think so. We've won one competitive game since October.
Yeah.
And obviously, we've only really brought in I'll try and say his name, Ragabur or Hugo into the team who looks like he's going to be a starter. So when you get into bad habits, it's really bad to break out of them. Like I said, they're a little bit not willing to take that risk on, and you don't want to keep going back to Parker, but obviously, that's very much how he was as a manager. We brought us success in the Championship. It didn't work out. Obviously, last season is an understatement. So he's got to try and break those habits. But has he also got the personnel, the type of players to play the way he wants to play? He clearly wants to win the ball back quickly, which I thought we did quite well. And then, get on the front foot, get to the final third. But when we was getting in the final third, it was just breaking down. Brun Larson did okay, but for me, he's not a winger. He's just not got the pace to be a winger. You know, you look at Edwards when he first come, and he was so exciting, and he's kind of, you know, first half in particular was just turning back, passing the ball back. Obviously, Ramsey's not played a lot of football. Obviously, he's not played for us for a long time, and he was anonymous. And that's not being critical. It's just it is what it is. Yeah, and like you said, he's obviously not got and the defence to kind of play out from the back. Obviously, we're going to touch on the, you know, Max Elaine looks like he's going to come in, which is a positive signing. So, yeah, it's one of them where, you know, I think we will get players in, you know, but like I said, I think it's going to take a little bit of time to gel, and obviously it's a really tough game coming up on Sunday.
Yeah, I think for me, Rich, I think, you know, it is only a League Cup game, and you know me, listeners who've listened to this show a long time know how excited I get about cup competitions. I think they're really important, and I think we absolutely should be paying attention to them, because, you know, look at Palace, you know, they managed to get themselves, and West Ham as well, they managed to get themselves European trophies going through the European League that everybody turned the nose up at, and they had the best seasons following those. So I think, you know, being able to win the League Cup would be amazing, and I don't see us, I would be annoyed if we stopped paying any attention to those, or we deliberately tried to get ourselves out of them for other things. But there is a reality here. It's a lower league opposition at home in what's essentially the pre-season training calendar. It's effectively the last pre-season game, even though it's a competitive game. It's effectively the last game of the pre-season programme. And I don't expect the players to go hell for leather. I don't expect them to be completely match fit. But even that, Rich, to me, from from what I've seen so far, we did still look a little leggy. We didn't quite seem as sharp, and we feel like we're miles away from being ready for this weekend's game with West Ham. Did you feel that same concern?
No, yeah, we was a bit leggy, but I don't think we didn't take the game serious. We played a full team.
No, yeah, it's not the serious point. It was the leggy and the fitness and the match sharpness point I'm questioning.
I don't think fitness was a thing, but well, you're not going to have match sharpness. It's the first game of the season, and I don't care what anybody says. You're not going to get up to play Notts County the same as you are to play West Ham at home in the first league game. They're human beings, and you will see a different intent. In my opinion, you'll see a different game. I just think West Ham will have too much quality for us on Sunday. Ultimately, you know, I think West Ham will absolutely can maybe bookmark this. I think West Ham will win this league easily, to be honest, this season. Because they'll add some more players. Keeping Bowen, obviously, is an England quality player, in my opinion. So it's just one of them where, like, I think it's more frustrating because of on the back of last season. I think if, you know, we had a good season last season or whatever, or we went down but we did ourselves justice or whatever, like, probably wouldn't have been the same pressure. But I feel like it's been so poor for so long now that you know, we wanted a really good performance. It's one of them where, you know, we wanted to go and beat them 2 or 3-0, but that was always going to be unlikely. Yeah. And one thing I will say, even though it is hard because we've been poor for a while, I think we've got to be patient with the new manager, and he's going to get new players in. It was only like, you know, it's only sometimes when you go back in time and you watch. You know, you kind of watch that. Like I watched, I think last week, that company season review. You know, just trying and get into the season a little bit, and you know, we was very patchy until that World Cup break. You know, everybody remembers the great win against. Yeah, like everybody remembers the great win against Blackburn, but the week before that, we lost 5-2, 5-3 away to Sheffield United and conceded.
And that was a really bad performance as well.
And obviously Sheffield United were a very good side that season, but like it, you know, and you know, games like we drew 3-3 at home to Blackpool early on in that season. There was a few, you know, where we conceded late equalisers. I remember Stoke at home, I think on a Tuesday night, where we conceded a late goal. So it is going to take a little bit of time. You know, I think today's a positive, getting, you know, this centre half in, and you know, historically, whether this is right or wrong, you know, in the Championship, ALK have kind of always done the business a little bit later.
Yeah.
And on the whole, I'm not a massive fan of ALK, but they have done, they made good championship signings. Again, it's easier when you've got bigger budgets and you're one of the more, teams who'll still be fancied for promotion. But I still think there'll be more players to leave as well. Some fringe players. I'd still be surprised if Fleming's here at the end of the transfer window.
He'll go.
If I'm being honest. But yeah, like I said, I think it's going to take time. But at the same time, I don't think we will do. But I think if we had a positive, let's say we beat West Ham on Sunday, it'd be a massive, massive boost for the rest of the season.
Okay, Rich, talk me through, just sticking on with the Notts County game just very briefly, just talk me through Max Weiss's performance and what you thought with this one, because there was a few conflicting reports over social media for people who were at the game, with some fans expressing some concerns that they didn't really think that he was quite up to the standard yet, a bit concerned about his age, a bit concerned about his lack of experience and his athleticism in it. But he's saved 2 penalties. He came into his own at the end of it and seemed to be really up for the game as well, and feels like he's developing into a character that Burnley fans will probably take to and probably quite warm to. Assuming that he does take the number 1 jersey for the rest of the season, how comfortable are you that he's going to be able to perform at the level we need him to?
I'm going to kind of try and answer that question in 2 separate parts. Obviously, it's a little bit of a concern, his lack of experience. I don't know exactly what age he is, but he's a young kid who's never, who's not played a lot of first team football in English football. Obviously, he's played a lot for Karlsruhe. This is a quiz question for viewers. Which other famous German goalkeeper came through at Karlsruhe and had a very successful career as one of the world's best goalkeepers? So that's a bit of a quiz question.
Can I answer
it? You can't. No, you can. No, let the viewers and you can tell me separately. Can write it in the chat and I'll tell the viewers if Natalie's got it right.
I will do that.
So I'm going to separate that. Obviously, there's concerns, but yeah, Saturday he was sound. He couldn't. To be fair to Notts County, they scored an excellent goal, really good turn and strike into the bottom corner. There's a couple of moments where it looks a little bit hairy, but a lot of goalkeepers do is the way them. No, that's not right.
I got it wrong, listeners. Sorry.
No, sorry. But yeah, it's one of them where a lot of goalkeepers look hairy, but I thought he did well.
Only
but
20
my opinion.
Yeah,
so he's young, but my opinion is I listened to an interview Hayen did with him about him, and he said the things what you would want to hear, but there wasn't that conviction in his tone of voice.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
don't know, maybe I'm reading into it too much, but you could kind of tell, and there's obviously links that we're looking at. I can't remember the club. Is it Leuven? Their goalie who got German goal. Who got the player of the year last year, but they've brought somebody else in, so he's looking at him. I think he was at Genk with him. I might be wrong there. I'm getting mixed up with some of the clubs.
No, I think I've seen that one as well.
So my opinion is, come September, we will have a new goalkeeper. But at the end of the day, if Weiss starts the season really well and say has a great game on Sunday and starts well, it's his shirt to lose. So. That's kind of where I am with him. But I'm also glad we kind of moved on from Dubravka, because Dubravka was good last season in parts. He made some great saves, but at the same time, I think he was a catalyst for some of our defensive woes, some set pieces, in the fact that he was really poor at commanding his area, and I was quite glad we didn't give him a new deal and we blooded Weiss in towards the end of the season. And I thought he looked okay. He played that game away at Arsenal and where we were under we played quite well actually that game. And, he looked okay. So it's not like I'm uncomfortable with him starting the season, but you don't know enough about him because I've not seen him play enough.
Okay, good stuff. Final point though, when we round up part 1 of the show, as we discussed in our part 1 of our season preview last week, we did expect that there was probably going to be some potential that Kyle Walker was going to move into a right side of a central defence, which is what we saw at the weekend against Notts County. Are you still of the same opinion with that? Has that changed your mind at all? What are you expecting from him this season?
I thought he was the best of the back four on Saturday, but again, I thought Son had a decent game. Humphries was
He's
poor.
getting better for me, is Sonny.
Yeah, he's all right, Son. He's quite tidy, and he's Oliver Son. I know he's Peruvian, but he's kind of like that typical Scandinavian player who's like very like tidy on the ball. He's good. He's solid in it. I don't think he's going to be spectacular.
Yeah.
You just don't know what you're going to get.
A vanilla and a reliable, normal, average player, which actually sometimes you just need.
Yeah, so like Worrell's one of them where like he may have been okay for Burnley in the Dyche era 10 years ago in the Championship, or maybe back in the day. But the way we want to play, he just can't do it. He's not good enough on the ball. He's not quick enough when you split in the centre halves. I thought Humphries looked quite uncomfortable playing that left back. That's a little bit further up. He looked better in Parker's back four, which was a little bit more solid and compact. But listen, it's early days. But yeah, I think Elaine I imagine if he is going to sign tomorrow or Thursday, if he's having his medical, probably train with the team tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back into the team. He's somebody who I've actually like watched a little bit for England under 21s, watched him for Watford a little bit, and then watched him when he played for City. I think he's a very good player. I think it'd be a really good signing for us. He struggled when City played an away game at Bordeaux Glimt, where, to be fair, Bordeaux Glimt were fantastic. They really pressed him. And he struggled a little bit in that game, but and then he kind of didn't play again when City's main guys come back into the fold. But yeah, it's a signing I'm excited about, and it makes sense. I've seen people on Twitter kind of say it's a bit disappointing. We didn't get like an option to buy, but I think for him, he'll be part of City's plans for the future, I imagine. So I think it's a good deal, and it kind of leaves cash to maybe sign other players. I'd still like another centre half. I imagine Ekdal probably might go this summer as well. Yeah. I think Worrell will stay as kind of like somebody who's good for the dressing room, can bring him on last 20 minutes if you under the cosh, etc. You kind of know what he's about. But yeah, I'm happy with that signing, and just whispers, you kind of feel it's going to be a little bit busier now moving forward. But go back to your early question with Walker. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because he can look really good at times, and then what he's always had in his career, despite having a top career, is a mistake in him. And obviously, playing with City with top players, he did get better as his career went on. I think it kind of depends what game it is for Walker. I'm probably a bit more confident if we're playing like a team who's going to sit behind the ball and who's going to hit on the counter attack, because that'll still suit him, and where you're going to be on the ball a little bit more. But against West Ham, who we're going to have to defend more, it worries me a little bit more. But it kind of seems like I reckon Humphries will start left back. Son will start right back, and then probably Elaine will come in and play centre half or this weekend. Like Roberts, obviously just coming back from a long injury, so I don't think he'll start the season.
No, I think it's going to be at least a month to 6 weeks before we see him. Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes. I think to be honest, I think we've got some concerns in defence, but we've got bigger concerns further up the pitch, I think, than the defence. But at least we have got bodies.
We've got concerns everywhere, to be honest.
Yeah, we do. But at least we have those there. Well, that wraps up part one of the show. We've slightly strayed into what we're going to talk about in part two, but do still join us because we're going to talk about any possible incomings coming in to the club in the coming week, and we build up to West Ham. So don't go anywhere. Join us for part two. Okay, we are back for the second half of the show. We're going to be looking at the build-up to the start of the EFL Championship next weekend. We are, of course, playing West Ham United, very widely tipped to be runaway leaders of the Championship. We expect them to be very, very difficult to beat, and a tall task for most of the Championship teams in this division. That said, Burnley and Wolves will be on their tails, I expect, trying to get that second automatic spot, or at least in the playoff positions. Rich, we did stray a little bit into this in part one. We were going to talk about the new incoming signing, just to clarify that for those people who haven't yet caught up with the news. We're told this evening, as we're recording this podcast, that Burnley have agreed to sign Max Hayen as a new centre-back from Manchester City. It's a straight loan with no buy option clause included. He is going to be going back to Manchester City in June 2027. I think, as Rich commented on in the early part of this podcast, I fully expect him to be in Manchester City's immediate plans, so we do expect him to go. But that's what we need in the Championship, Rich. We in a lot of our campaigns where we've done very well and what other Championship teams have done well, you've got to rely on really good loan signings as well as some permanent signings on there as well. On the basis that we don't know how many players we are going to get through the door, let's assume that Max Hayen does sign. He has signed over the next 12 hours or so. Is there any position for you where we simply cannot afford to start the game against West Ham without filling that one?
I don't think you can say that, because I think it's one of them where, like, you're not going to have the perfect team at the start of the season.
No, like, not perfect, but a gaping hole, a real problem position.
I think the centre half was the main position, so I think we've done that. Yeah. It would have worried me going in with the same back four as we played against Notts County. So, and the likelihood is it's Wednesday tomorrow, games on Sunday, unless we pull some anything out
to start by then anyway.
I doubt it. So to look at a wider view, listen, there's more players we need. Like, I think we need another midfielder. I think we need another number 10, 2 new wingers, another striker, left back. We need a lot of players.
Yeah, we need everybody, but I guess my problem is that we're going to be playing West Ham the weekend, and it's possibly a game that we shouldn't expect to get 3 points on, based on how we anticipate West Ham to be as strong as they are this season. So I guess my question, let's look at this in a different way then. On the basis that our squad's not going to be complete, that we're not going to have the team in place that we're going to necessarily have in place by the end of the transfer window, is this the best time we could expect to get the West Ham game out of the way?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. It's always like you ask. They're always hard questions these to know, because it's like, is it the best time to play them? Is it not the worst time to play them? They've obviously still want players through the door. I think Middlesbrough have obviously done the best business so far. They're standing out. I think every single Championship team, and to be honest, like most teams up and down the country, will kind of be thinking like, we'll want gaps filling. We want players to be coming in. So I think it'll be a really competitive game. I don't think there'll be much in it, and I do definitely think we can beat them. I don't think we will in the end, but I think we can. So yeah, but no, I'm happy Elaine's coming in. But like, I think the team will be pretty similar to how it is against West Ham. But the midfield looks a bit weak for me, a bit flimsy.
It does look really flimsy.
It wouldn't surprise me. People won't like this, but I think Lauren probably starts instead of Ramsey on Sunday.
Yeah, I completely
And that's
agree.
why we need somebody else in midfield, because you can't be relying on Laurent to play in these big games. Like a starter. Like, similar to Worrell, decent, does his job, what he's going to do, but he just lacks quality at this level. And you look at the last Championship campaign, he was a squad player who come in for some games, but I think Laurent probably replaces Ramsey. And yeah, it's just kind of that front three. If you give Fleming the service, he'll score. But you've got Edwards, who's
he's not lit pre-season alive, has he?
Well, he's played in pre-season, but he just doesn't look like. He just looked to me like he's lost confidence. Like, you're not taking men on anymore.
When I mean he's not.
He's not played well. Sorry, Brun Larson's just not quick enough to be a winger. He's all right, isn't he, Brun Larson? But like, again, like for me, he's one I'd probably look to actually move out the door with decent wages and bring somebody else in. But yeah, so kind of that's where it worries me. Unless kind of he thinks I'm doing he's fit enough to play and he really goes for it and he plays I'm doing in number 10. But again, it's a big ask for him coming in against West Ham. But my prediction is it'll be the same. You might ask me this later, but kind of going back to the transfer side of it, I think he'll play the same team, but I think Elaine will come in for Worrell. And I think Laurent will actually come in for Ramsey and I'll put Hannibal a little bit further forward.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. I think that's probably what's needed. I think as long as we've got enough to give them a game, I don't want to just end up starting the campaign being a complete rollover. That won't be pleasant at all. From the manager's perspective then, Rich, how do you expect him to approach this game? Is he going to be a bit more cautious? Are we going to see us taking West Ham on the front foot and really going for it from an attacking? Are we going to be dictating the game, or are we going to be a little bit more controlled and seeing what West Ham do first?
I think this manager will want to get on the front foot. That's what he wants. That's all his press conferences are. And I don't think he's a bluffer. Like, you get that opinion, like, again, going back to like body, like when somebody speaks, you think he really means it. He's not just saying it for the sake of it. Like with some managers, maybe Parky felt like he was just hearing what you wanted to say, but you really feel this guy's got a bit of meaning to what he's saying. Like he said in a recent interview that I read today that like he feels we're too nice. And I like that. Yeah, I like that. I think he wants to bring a little bit more, edge to us. It's just one of them. It's all well and good saying these things, but it's another thing trying to get that belief into the players. I think like the atmosphere will be a really good one, first game of the season.
Yeah,
I expect it to be a packed house. Obviously, West Ham will be a good atmosphere. So in some ways, it might be a good game to play for us because we're naturally going to be up for it. It's just whether we can sustain how long we can sustain that for. And just what I hope is that like when we get into the final third, we show a bit of ambition. We get the ball into the box, we get bodies into the box. Like I said, we've got Fleming there, who's, in my opinion, the best striker in the Championship. Give him that service that he can thrive on, and he'll score goals. So I think that's what all Burnley fans want to see. We don't mind the odd pass. You're going to get that at Championship level, any level of football, passes going out astray, different things like that. As long as we really try and get on the front foot and get crosses into the box and, just work as hard as we can. And I think where we'll be vulnerable under Hayen is, you can tell like on Saturday, he wants to split the centre halves. He wants the fullbacks to go forward. He wants his, like he said, he wants to get bodies in the box. I think where we will be vulnerable is on the counter attack. But at the end of the day, you just want a bit of excitement, don't you? After what last season, was.
Yeah, it needs to be a statement game that reflects our ambitions of this season. We need to be able to go out there and just be like, we're not just going out there and settling to be third ranking and go up through the playoffs behind Wolves and West Ham. This needs to go and be a statement of our ambition that we're going to push West Ham and try and take that title off them. We're the ones that have got the Championship experience. We're the ones that have got the ridiculous winning record of the league and promotion in the Championship. We want to put them to the test, Rich. That's what I want to see from this.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, you just want to be in the battle, give him a really good game. But at the same time, like I'm not going to flap or get too wound up if we're not like 46. A long game. It's a long season. 46 games. It's a lot of football to be played. So yeah.
Obviously, you've touched on this a little bit about getting that service ball into Fleming. But where else can we hurt West Ham? Like where can we inflict some real challenges across the park on them? Or can we? Actually, can we? That's probably the best starting question.
Yeah, listen, we can do. We've got to get more quality though in that final third. Wherever I think, and again, like I expect West Ham to have more of the ball in this game. So like if we do get an opportunity to counter attack, like I say, counter attack with pace, counter attack, get your bodies forward when you counter attack, but you've got to have that quality. And that's what it boils down to. You've got to have quite. It's all well and good saying play with intensity, play with passion, but like you've got to have quality to match that. And that's at times, we have been lacking. And when I've watched us in pre-season, we've gone into good areas and the final ball's been poor. And Edwards can be frustrating, but he does have that quality. Like, he played a fantastic ball through to Fleming on Saturday to score that goal. So that's why I'd still play him. But for me, like, I've said I'd start Bun Larson because I don't think we've got much else. But that's where, in my opinion, we need another number 10 and we need a winger to give us that extra quality because, what I'm doing here, you don't know he's not played properly for Burnley since that Company Premier League season. He's been injured, out on loan, so you don't know if he's going to even stay. So that's where I think we need a quality player in that position. Obviously, we've been linked with that Kebbell, Elon Kebbell from who's he at the moment? I forgot the team he's at, but Paris, where Collie Osho went to, and it seems he's got a bit of trickery. But again, you don't really know too much about him. So yeah, I think we will have times on the ball, but I think West Ham just naturally got a bit better squad than us, haven't they? So they're going to have more with the ball. So I think we just got to hopefully we can counter attack with pace, with aggression, but then find them moments of quality when we get into those good positions.
Yeah. So who then, in terms of the game at the weekend, who's under more pressure? Is it a bigger pressure game for Burnley because we need to hit the ground running, or is it a more pressure game for West Ham given that they're back in the Championship after a long time?
I think West Ham, to be honest, like West Ham's a bigger club, aren't they? There's no point in denying it. Like I said, I expect West Ham to win the league. You look at the squad still. Obviously Bowen still staying is the standout. They kept Castellanos, who's obviously didn't quite make the World Cup squad, but played for Argentina. So to me, there'll be more pressure on them. But do you think it's a strange world that we live in now in football, that there's pressure on the first game of the season? I think it's become a bit. I think because of social media, I think it's become some of the hype or the, if we lose, it's become a bit hyperbolic, hasn't it? I think these days as well. So, yeah, for me, I just want to try and just look forward to and enjoy the game. It's a fresh start. What will be, will be. I'm not going to get too low if we lose. And like you said, Nat, I just want us to give a really good, account of ourselves and just give some energy. And if we fall short, fine. But then, that's what I want to see. I don't want us to kind of lose in that same manner of being we tried and, we played some decent little bits of football, but ultimately there just wasn't that much to get behind.
Yeah. Okay, a couple of fun questions then before we round off, do a little bit of a prediction before we let you go. First question, and I think I'm probably going to know the answer to this, but if you could lift one West Ham player and drop him in the Burnley squad for the rest of the season, who would it be? And
James Ward-Prowse.
Oh, really?
No, not. Yeah, listen, obviously Bowen, standout Championship player. I think exactly. I think his father-in-law threatened to get the Cray twins on him if he left. I feel a bit sorry for Bowen because I think he probably wanted to leave, but kind of felt a bit awkward.
He's got no chance, has he? He's like that. That was written in his marriage vows. Sorry, mate.
I think so. Yeah, and I think when he got relegated, he was like, "Oh,
oh no, I've got to."
No, listen. I think it's obvious, but he is a good. Whether there was talk should he have been in England squad when he kind of watched Madueke kind of smashing balls into rows at left, right, and centre. Could have been Bowen would have been better than him, wouldn't he? But I think. But no, listen. On the flip side of that, fair play to him for staying. But yeah, I think as he gets into the season, he'll just stand out like a sore thumb. Oh, but listen, who knows? The Championship's a funny league, isn't it? But that's what I'm imagining.
We know it. We know it inside out, which is going to be a good thing for us, which is the one thing that I'm clinging on to now. We know this league inside out, and we do well in this league. So that's the one thing I'm clinging on to. First goal scorer, club and player. Who scores
in
first?
In this game?
Yeah.
Go on, I'll go a Burnley player. I'll go...
Burnley score first, and it's going to
be... I'll go Fleming. Yeah, go Fleming then.
Excellent. I like
Pretty
it.
boring, but I'll go Fleming.
I'll stick a quid on that one in your honour. See how I get there.
Cheers,
do not follow
Natalie.
and do gamble responsibly. And then I guess final question. Which one should we go with? This one. Final two questions. Score prediction.
2-2. I think it'll be a decent game.
Lovely. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
And then finally, summary from you. When we record this podcast in a week's time, which is going to be the overview of that result, what do you expect us to be talking about?
Conceding from sloppy goals and set pieces.
And there you go, listeners. Let's start the season as we mean to go on. Well, let's wrap that up there because I think that's all we've pretty much got time for today. Rich, thank you so much. It's always difficult.
Thank you.
Podcast by yourself, and we always know that you're very much giving your opinion and having to talk for ages. So we really appreciate it. But I could listen to you for hours because your opinion's always very well broken down. So thank you. Really appreciate your time. Listeners, drop us a follow, hit that subscribe button, whether you're watching on YouTube or whether you are listening to this through your favourite podcast provider. You can hit that subscribe button. You can follow us. You can help support the channel. Anything you can do will be appreciated. As I said before, we will be back next week with the podcast show talking about that West Ham game, what happened, what will those talking points be, and hopefully 1 or 2 more bodies coming through the Turf Moor ranks. My thanks as ever go to the whole None and Ever team for all of their input in producing this podcast, and to you, the listener, for downloading and listening. Your support is very much appreciated, and we would not be here without you. I'm Natalie Bromley, and this has been the None and Ever podcast. The None and Ever podcast is brought to you in association with the talkSPORT Fan Network. Our host and editor is Natalie Bromley, and the show is produced by Matt Moss. Our resident statistician is Dave Roberts, and our FPL expert is Adam Dennett. The Analysis Show team is collectively Tom Whittaker, Rich Steele, George Poole, Charlotte Rigby and Adam Dennett. Our music is provided by George Gaskell, and our newsletter team is headed up by Jamie Smith. If you don't already, you can subscribe to our newsletter by visiting nonenever.substack.com. Thanks as ever go to our partners talkSPORT. We are proud to be associated with the talkSPORT Fan Network.